Hello everyone and welcome back to the Den with me Baron for this preview of the first Blood Bowl 3 Bonehead Podcast League. So just in case you've been living under a Blood Bowl related rock, the Bonehead Podcast is a fabulous YouTube channel and podcast and tournament organisers and team of people bringing you live, sometimes live, sometimes recorded Blood Bowl tabletop matches as well. They are, in my opinion, the best Blood Bowl content creators out there, and if you haven't, by some miracle, found them, please check them out. I'll put a link in the description to the Bonehead Podcast. They are just brilliant. But the Blood Bowl 3 League is being run by Caron, who is a member of the Discord and I think a Patreon of the Bonehead Podcast, and I've agreed to help him out a bit. And also, I'm taking part in the league myself, so I thought it'd be good to preview the league, see the teams involved, and go from there. Right, let's dig in, first of all, with my team. So, I'm running my favourite team in Blood Bowl, which is the Mordheim Undertakers, Necromantic Horror. And so, I've gone for, let's go back a second, I think it's a pretty strong build. It's fairly typical of what you can do, and it's 2 flesh golems, 2 wraiths, 1 werewolf, 2 ghouls, 4 zombie linemen, taking me up to 11 players with 2 rerolls and only 5,000 left over. There are variations of what you can do, but Necromantic Horror are kind of hands tied. You don't really, I don't think, want to be running more than 1 werewolf in the early days, because they are amazing and a liability until they get block, and I think concentrate on 1. And when that one's got block, then you can go for the second one, and by then you've hopefully generated the cash. The wraiths are crucial because of starting with block. The flesh golems are crucial because of being strength 4. So you can't really skimp on these players. You can drop a ghoul and put the money elsewhere and take a zombie instead, but then you're just left with 2 ball carriers. And I like to develop one of my ghouls into a ball hawk. So that's why I wanted to start with 2 ghouls. So on the team I've got Frank Steiner, who is obviously a homage to Frankenstein. Technically Frankenstein's monster, but obviously as a cartoony character, many flesh golem type characters have been named Frankenstein instead of Frankenstein's monster. And then the other one is called Lurch Karlov, which is a nod to Lurch Adams from the Addams Family, and obviously Boris Karloff, who was in Frankenstein in the 30s, I think. Then I got the Dread Widow, a wraith, and the Soul Reaper, who actually looks like a farmer, and he's got a thing to reap the corn with, which is nice. Or the soul, sorry. I've got Didier Dogborough, which I've talked about before. It comes about because my Gramps couldn't say Drogba, the footballer, called him Dogborough, and I just, when I've got the chance to name a dog character as a homage to my late great Gramps, I always take that opportunity. So that's Didier Dogborough, who's going to be my star player, hopefully. And I've got Caliban Rig Picker with this very cool pumpkin head that is on fire with witch fire. Vorag Black Talon, which he's going to hopefully be the ball hawk, so I've given him suitable nasty claws and spikes. Then we've got Sammy Scarecrow, who I kind of couldn't think of a better name ages ago, so I gave the Scarecrow-looking zombie the nickname when on my tabletop model. So when the Scarecrow cosmetics came out for the Blood Bowl 3, I was like, no, I've got to have a Scarecrow-based one. And he's a little celebrity for me now, is old Sammy Scarecrow. Then we've got Jack Lantern, because obviously one of the tabletop models has got the pumpkin head. Rick Walker, which is Walking Dead homage. And finally we've got Simon Pegg, who's got a peg leg, and obviously Shaun of the Dead is my homage there. So that is the Mordheim Undertakers. So let's check out the rest of the teams in the league. Now I wanted to get this preview out before any games were played, but we've already had one, so let's start off with those teams. So we've got Stratford's team, the Celestial Stratolites, and as you can see, he had a very rough first game, even though he won, because he's now down to, he's got his 2 blockers, and he's got 2 blockers, 2 blitzers. But I don't know if he had a thrower. If he did, it's dead. If not, he's just lost a couple of line women. But he's got a movement busted line woman there, who will be missing next game. Yeah. So yeah, taking a bit of a hit. I don't know what his original build was now, but actually I've got a feeling it was 2 blockers, 2 blitzers, and then line women down to 12. So he'd got the bench player, 3 rerolls, and he put some into dedicated fans. Actually, that might have gone up because he'd won. I still suspect Stratford will be one of the most competitive in the league. First of all, it is supposed to be more of a fun and have a laugh league. It's not too serious, you know. We're not all like going to be quitting after 2 turns and having a tantrum because it's not going our way. It's very much a let's enjoy it type league. Having said that, we still want to do well in it. So looking at this, I imagine Stratford will be one of the top players or top teams this year because he's done well in tabletop tournaments I've been at, and also in the fumble leagues that we've been doing as well. He's always a top coach, and I've played against him with his Underworld before, and he's very good. And he's also running a top team in Amazons. You know, arguably probably the best team in Blood Bowl at the moment at lowish TV. It's certainly debatable, but I know a lot of people would say that. I wouldn't, because I'm terrible with Amazons, but people who can get a tune out of them definitely would rate them very highly. So that's Stratford. And then he played Sweet Tiger's B-Movie Brawlers, who was another Necromantic Horror team. So let's see what his build was. 2 golems, 1 ghoul, 1 werewolf, 2 wraiths, and zombies down to 11. So he has dropped the ghoul for a lineman, which has given him what? Still got 2 rerolls. I suppose he just kept the money. So that's helped him build towards his second ball carrying position, which is possibly a werewolf. And obviously has come off a losing game from Stratford, but Necromantic are very hard in the first instance, and Amazons is not a good matchup for them in their first game because they've only got the Wraiths with block, and all of their targets are going to have dodge, which means unless it's the Wraith, you've pretty much got to roll a 6 to take anyone down. So he's done very well to injure as many players as he has. But that's cool to have another Necromantic Horror team in there. Right, let's go back up here. So, we got Halflings. So that's Silith and Snack on Arrival. And he's got 2 Treemen, 2 Hefties, a Catcher, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Halfling Hopefuls with 6 dedicated fans. So he's ploughed a lot of dosh into there. 1 reroll, and he's got a load of cash left over, and he's got a very low team value. I'm surprised it's that low actually, because he's gone for some positionals there. So he could afford the Halfling Master Chef. He could afford a top star player. I don't think any star players are banned, so that's potentially Morg, or certainly Griff, with Cindy. So whilst on paper Halfling are the weakest team in the game currently, their ability to be low, their low TV gives them ability to have some very good bribes, not bribes, well maybe bribes, inducements. That means they can run star players, bribes, Halfling Master Chef, all sorts that can make them actual nightmare to fight first. And again, a lot of them have dodge, so I wouldn't want to run into the Halflings first game of the season with my unskilled Necromantic team. I'd want a few more of my players to get blocked to be able to, or tackle, to be able to compete, to take off some of these off the board. But that's the Halfling team. We've then got a human team, Spa H2O with the Brunswick Strikers, and we've got an ogre, we've got the 4 blitzers, thrower, 2 catchers, and linemen. I like that build a lot actually. 3 rerolls, 2 dedicated fans. That is basically bringing all your toys to the party, isn't it? That's the good thing about humans. That's a full loadout for me. I'm not massively into the catchers on the human team. I always run 2 is enough for me, because I'll probably brew 1 up as a sneaky get dirty player, and then 1 as an actual catcher. But it's the blitzers, isn't it, that are really key on the human team. And I think an ogre is great fun as well. So yeah, I like the look of that team. Not to play against, but to if I was running humans, I'd do something very similar. And then we've got Ingroom 3 with the Croc Blockers, Lizard Men. And we've got a Croxigor in the starting team. That's interesting. And we've also got 4 Saurus and a Crocs. Means there's still 2 Saurus away. But I think even if it's hard to run all 6 Saurus in the first instance. And I suppose once you've got the Croxigor in, you're not saving up for it anymore, and it starts accruing star player points straight away. 2 Chameleon Skinks, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 regular Skinks. Obviously, having the Croxigor and 4 Saurus means that you're having to run at least 6 of the Strength 2 players. So it'll be difficult for this team in the first game or two, but once some of the Saurus or the Croxigor starts picking up block or guard and things like that, it will pick up for them. But I'll be honest, Skinks with dodge and movement 8 are still a bit of a nightmare to control in the early game. So they might lean more on their scoring potential with the Skinks until their Saurus start brewing up some strength and control skills. But that looks good. And now we're on to Gurgers, Bonehead Podcast Skinwalkers, Dark Elf. And, well, that's a very standard Dark Elf roster. 4 Blitzers. Oh, we've got the Runner. And then linemen down to 11. 2 rerolls. No, it's a million cost and no extra for the dedicated fans. They're an expensive team, but they'll be dodging away on a 2+. And they've got block. And they've got 5 movement 7 players, so they've got everything they need to succeed. And of course, as soon as they start brewing up level ups, they'll be going straight into dodge. So you'll expect this team to do well. Unless they're unfortunate with injuries, I'd think. I don't see too many counters so far to this. And actually, because he's not gone with the Witch Elves, he doesn't really need to worry about the Dwarf's Tackle at the moment. Because he hasn't got anyone with dodge anyway. So that's the Dark Elf team in this list. And first of the Norse teams, I do love me Norse. Dalio. Oh, Dalio, yeah. Another good coach. And what are we looking at here? 2 Valkyries, 2 Ulfs, a Berserker, lots of linemen, and 2 beer bowls, 13 players, 2 rerolls. Yep, that's a good build. I like it. The only thing I don't like is it's got no Yeti in. And I appreciate I'm in the minority of people who like the Yeti. But the reason I like the Yeti is that because of its Unchanneled Fury, the nice thing with the Yeti is you can, on the turns you know you're not going to blitz with it because you need to blitz with something more consistent, and it's like a really important blitz, so you can't afford to roll that one. You can just move it early on because even if it fails, it keeps its tackle zone. So I might think, you know what, before I move anyone else, I'm going to try and move the Yeti because I know I'm not going to blitz with it anyway. And if I do get some movement out of it, I can use that to plan out the rest of my player's moves. Or if he's staying still, at least I can account for that with everything else that I do. And then that clause just gives you, because Norse want to fight, that clause gives you the opportunity to mix up with some of the higher armour teams. But if you're to ask the average Norse player, they'd all say that the Yeti is certainly not a priority in a starting build. I think the reason I'm thinking of putting my Yeti in the starting build is because of doing tournaments and Norse Arena where you can afford it, but I suppose in a million build you'd have to lose quite a lot to get the Yeti in. So yeah, I'd very much like to run this team. This team looks good. Right, what we got next? So that was the Ragnarokers. Now we're on to the Dragon Fang Disasters. Lawson. Oh, I've played Lawson in the Fumble League as well. So what's he gone for? He has gone for the opposite of what I tend to go for with Nurgle, and that's probably a good thing because he's gone for 4 ball carriers. Now, sorry, I've said 4 potential ball carriers. They won't all obviously develop into ball carriers because you would want Pesticles doing other things. But what is nice about this build is, say 2 of them get taken off the board for different reasons, you've got backup options with that. Whereas if you go for the 4 bloater build or even a rot spawn in there, you're only affording 1 or 2 Pestigals, and that can be problematic in the first few games. But this is a difficult team to get going in any formation, starting roster, in my opinion. I think one of the most difficult opening few games is Nurgle. But they do have some strength 4 players. They've got a lot of foul appearance and disturbing presence, which causes issues. It's got 3 rerolls, and sometimes when I build a team, I only get 2 because I try to put some of the high strength players in. I do apologise for the coughing. So yeah, that will be a challenge in the first few games. However, once they start getting blocked and once they start affording those extra positionals, that will develop into a very nasty team to play against. And yeah, be interesting to see how they progress. We got Mike G with Rat Boys. It's an Underworld Denizens team. And what we got? Yeah, loads of Snotlings. You just get everything, don't you, with an Underworld team. 3 Clan Rats, 1 Gutter, 1 Blitzer, 1 Thrower, 1 Rat Ogre, load of Snotlings, in fact max Snotlings to max out on that, and then 2 Underworld Goblins. A room for 1 star player should you need it, but he's running at close to 1 million. So he won't be having too much in the inducements in the short term. But look at all this fouling potential. You've got a Rat Ogre with Mighty Blow and Prehensile Tail. You've got a Blitzer who's not too far away from getting claws. And you've got a Gutter Runner, who's not too far away from getting 2 heads and being an absolute nightmare. So yes, Underworld they're a bit of a... I've seen them played a couple of ways. I've seen them played leaning in towards the scoring potential and very much into the fouling potential. So one team I played, literally they ignored me in the ball and they just surround one of my players and just foul them into the ground. Which, given that he was doing that to things like zombies and sometimes like the odd flesh golem or wraith, with their high armour and their regen, it was interesting to see them go after them. But they can be devastating with the fouls. So couple that with a Rat Ogre who can go in and punch through a defensive line, and the Snotlings that can just get in the way. It can be a very difficult team to play against. So yeah, we'll have to keep our eyes on that one. Goblins, so happy to see Goblins in. Did they go for the... They did! Well done, who's this? Cactahero, well done Cactahero for running a Doom Diver. Because unfortunately the Doom Divers, no one loves them anymore. I think since did they lose dodge or they lose their stunty ability because of swoop? Where's swoop? It doesn't actually say. But they're just not as good as they used to be. But I still think they're a very useful scoring threat, but I think people say it's not worth the value. I think if they were 40k, and your argument was, okay, they've got swoop, but they've lost dodge, more people might take them. I always take one though, because it's funny, and you got to have fun with these things, haven't you? But also got the Pogo, the Fanatic, and the Loony. But no Hooligan. Got to take the Hooligan. Hooligan's probably one of the best players, but that's just my opinion. But I'll be happy that he's got the Doom Diver. But yeah, I always like to see the Hooligan in. The Bomber is just not worth it because you might as well, unless you want to try and build him into a ball carrier or a thrower because of his passing access. There's just no point to him because you can get Bomber Dribble Snot for the same amount of money. Or is he even cheaper? Or no, he's 5k more maybe? I don't know. I can't remember. But he's certainly not much different to the Bomber, so what's the point? You may as well have the good Bomber. Goblins are always a bit of a nightmare because it can go one of two ways. If the chainsaw doesn't kill itself and the Fanatics does its damage, they've got the potential to score a 1 turn. They can be an absolute pain, and they can also completely crumple and fall to pieces. So I haven't got the emotional control to run Goblins too often. Well, no, actually, they can be a lot of fun. But yeah, whenever I run them, they can't do a 3+ dodge, so you need to rely on the dice a little bit when you're playing with Goblins. But I'm glad to see them in the league. Then it's me. And then we've got Legion of LOA, which is Rain 1134, who is in our Fumble League as well. And he's also gone for a Croxagore starting build Lizards, but he's got 1, 2, 4. He's managed to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's managed to get it all. So he's only running 1 reroll, 4 dedicated, and he's managed to put some into dedicated vans as well. Oh, this could be tricky. With one reroll, but as long as his dice isn't too bad, it's a very strong starting team. Having Maximum Saurus and a Cropsigle. Got a Chameleon Skink there for it's on the ball perhaps to begin with, and then 3 Skinks. The problem I suppose that you might run into is the reroll factor and also losing the Skinks. Only having 4 potential people who can carry the ball, I suppose, is always a risk, but it's offset by the fact that these guys are going to be an absolute nightmare to break through. Less so for an Orc team perhaps, or a Dwarf team that can gang up on some of the stronger players. But my Necro wouldn't like this, because my Flesh Golems could only occupy a couple of these strong players. Maybe my Wraiths with their foul appearance and sidestep could tangle a few up, but some of these movement 6, strength 4 guys would be free to run right past some of my players. So yeah, like the look of that, it's different. Right, then on to my first opponent, and it's Borek G with his Deep Rock Delvers. Borek is very much a known dwarf coach. He's very good with his dwarves, and he even managed to get a 3-0 win at a tabletop tournament I was at, showcasing the dwarf throwing and running game. But yes, he's gone for a very much tried and trusted 2 blitzers, 1 runner, 1 troll slayer, and the rest blocker lineman, which allows him to go for... Oh, he's got a cheerleader, and he's got 3 rerolls. So that's the good thing with dwarfs. You get everything that you need, really, don't you? And you still have enough room for rerolls. He is 1 runner light and 1 troll slayer light, but I would only ever start with 1 troll slayer because they are expensive. And again, even though they've got block, their lower armour and their frenzy means they can get themselves into trouble. So I think I'd do the same and only start with 1 troll slayer. But I do usually start with 2 runners, just because I'd worry about running out of potential ball carriers, because these 3 are the only ones who can reliably dodge and... Not reliably, that's not the right word. Reliably pick up the ball and have a go at dodging is probably the better way of putting it. But this is the opponent I'm up against first, which I don't know how I feel about that, because playing dwarves are one of the best starting teams. Necromantic Horror are, well, maybe not one of the worst, but certainly not very good in their first 2 or 3 games, and they start cooking once you can get block on the werewolf and some skills on the flesh golems, and that really it sets them up then, and they become one of the strongest teams, Necro. So in one hand, this is a very difficult game for Necromantic Horror, but on the other hand, at least I'm playing the dwarves before they get maximum guard and mighty blow and punishing skills like that, and it means that I might stand a chance of perhaps trying to split the dwarves up a bit, and stopping them from giving lots of assists. I'll actually have the strength with the 2 strength 4 flesh golems. Hopefully my zombies will stand up to being 1 die blocked, and foul appearance will kick in a bit. So it'll be interesting. I've got to keep my ghouls away from the block alignment, because they can be lethal with their tackle. So yeah, it should be an interesting game, and I will be playing that when this video goes out. I'll be playing that later in the day, and I was thinking of live streaming, but I think I'll record it instead, and that will hopefully be then out on Wednesday. Then you can see how I got on. Right, so that's Borek G and his dwarves. We're nearly there. So we've got a wood elf team, and it's Pat Knez. So Pat Knez and I have tangled several times in the Fumble League. He's a great coach. We played each other in the quarterfinals of one season. It was a good game. I've played him with humans and dark elves. This time he's got a different flavour of elves. He's got the wood elves, where he's 2 rerolls, 2 war dancers, 1 catcher, and then lineman down to 11. It's a pretty standard, a good standard build. I'd like to throw the tree man in there, although not in a starting build, because I'd lose a war dancer, and that would be just mental to lose a war dancer for tree man. I think I did that on my Blood Bowl 3 wood elf run, just because I wanted to get the tree man going up. But that was because I was playing ladder, which is, at that point there wasn't even redraft, so I'd have the time to start building that tree man up. But in a shorter league where we're playing 8 games, you can't not have a war dancer from the start, can you? It's literally the best players in the game. So yeah, Wood Elf teams often in the early part will live and die by their opponent's armor rolls. If the opponent hits them like a cruise missile, so they won't be giving easy blocks to begin with because they'll be dodging away. But should they fail a dodge and fail the reroll, and the team are still locked in, and the opposition gets the chance to get in successful blocks, it can go from bad to worse quite quickly for a team like Wood Elves. But if you can avoid people and only take one hit at the most per turn, not many teams can outscore them. They're absolutely phenomenal offensive team, and they're not a bad defensive team as long as you can keep pulling back those screens, pulling back the defensive positioning, and not getting caught too often. So again, early part, I'm sure Pat Kennez will be holding his breath when he has those first few hits coming his way, but outside of that, it should be a very potent team. The second Norse team, and it's the Hanover Hangovers by Papa Z, which I think is Pupas, but because Bonehead Ben calls him Papa Z, I end up calling him Papa Z as well. Again, I've played him at Bonehead Bowl. I think he was running mixed Norse then with somebody else, and he's another great coach. Enjoyed playing him in the flesh, so it'll be great to play against him in Blood Bowl 3 as well. And he's running one of my favourite teams, and similar build to the other Norse team, except there's no Berserker and there's one beer ball less. So where's the money being spent? He's got an Apo, so he's gone for the Apo. For basically, he's converted the Berserker into a lineman and dropped a beer ball, and it's allowed him to get the Apo, which is quite sensible when you've got such a low armour team. So much block. This will be a good team going into the first few games. We've already talked about how we've got a number of teams, including my own, that might struggle in the first game. This will be one that should be able to hit the ground running. I love Norse. Little part of me wishes I was running Norse, but they're just... The thing that Necro for me has over Norse is they just got a bit more staying power, and you're less than... I just wanted to spend less time holding my breath every time I got hit this season. But yeah, love my Norse. Then we got our league administrator, Caron, who I've played several times in the Fumble League. We've played our Christmas special and our Halloween special. He's a great coach, a great dude, and he is our league admin, and he's doing a great job. And he's running vampires, and he's gone for the blood type naming convention for his thralls. And then he's got 2 throwers and 2 blitzers, which for me is an interesting... I love that he's called him Gangrel. He looks a bit like Gangrel as well. I hope that's the wrestling nod that I think it is. Gangrel was a wrestler who was portrayed a bit like a vampire in the Attitude Era of the WWE. So that's what I'm hoping he's Gangrel. But it might just be a coincidence. But yeah, what surprises me is that he's gone for 2 blitzers and not any runners. Sorry. So he's gone for max strength 4. I said that's the orc in him there. He likes to run orcs and black orcs, and you can tell because he's gone for the 4 strength 4 players. The only thing I don't like about the blitzers is being bloodlust 3+. Basically, a lot of people say don't take the Vargeist because it can't hypnogaze. But the blitzers aren't great at hypnogazing anyway, because you have to then activate them on a 3+ if you're not doing a block or a blitz. So that always feels quite risky to me. You don't want to be eating thralls too often. So that means I probably wouldn't be doing much, unless I was desperate and it was an important part of my play. I wouldn't be hypnogazing with the blitzer, which is why I don't see running a Vargeist instead of a blitzer being too much of a problem. But it does allow him to start with a lot of strength. So we'll see how they get on. We've got to keep these guys nice and safe, which is always difficult. But yeah, glad to see the new team in the league. and we've already talked about that team, so that's all the different teams. So we've got a nice mix in there. We haven't got more than 2 of any team. We have got 2 Norse, 2 Lizards, 2 Necros. I think that's it. We've got most teams covered, except for no Orcs, no Chaos Chosen, no Chaos Renegades, no Elven Union, no Imperial Nobility, no Black Orc. Is that it? So only 6 of the something like 17 odd teams. Oh no, we're close to 20 now. Yeah, or is it 21? I don't know. But we're running most of them now. Oh, Old World Alliance aren't there as well. So given that there's only 16 teams in the league, it's nice that we've got a nice spread. And actually, I was talking about how it's good to play one of the Bash teams earlier on. There aren't that many Bash teams left after that. I suppose you've got Lizardmen and Norse, which are hybrid teams, and you've got Nurgle. But there's also a lot of Dash teams to play against as well. So that's nice for Necro, nice little balance. So yeah, first game, as you can see, is against the Deep Rock Delvers, and I'll be playing that Tuesday evening. Yeah, tune back in on Wednesday, and you'll see how I got on against the Dwarves. Well, anyway, thank you very much for joining me on this preview of the Bonehead Podcast season. Like I said, please check out, subscribe, and like the Bonehead Podcast if you aren't already, although I imagine that you probably already are a subscriber, and if you're not, why not? And yeah, if you could subscribe to me as well, that would be great. And give me a like and leave a comment. Who do you think is going to do well this season? Which team excites you with their build? Which team looks the most fun to play? As this is more of a not the most competitive league out there. When I say that, can I just clarify? When I say not the most competitive, I mean that it's designed to be fun. It doesn't mean that the coaches aren't any good. We all, you know, I know that a lot of these coaches, and there's some really good coaches here, and it's good coaches trying to enjoy it and not get too over competitive about it. Yeah, so thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.